Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. Summer is in full swing now, and people are off and escaping to their beach homes, if they're lucky enough to have one. One of the poshest areas in the world is right on the east end of Long Island in an area called the Hamptons. The Hamptons is a group of affluent seaside communities that are comprised of towns and villages such as Montauk, Sag Harbor, East Hampton, and Watermill, just to name a few. It's mostly a summer retreat, although there are plenty of people that do reside there all year round. The Hamptons attracts the elite. Think wealthy people, celebrities, business moguls. But it's a blend of laid-back coastal living that's just dripping in luxury and opulence. There are a ton of great restaurants on the East End, a lot of them that have outposts in New York City. But there are people that have exclusive sprawling estates in the Hamptons. And believe me, the elite like to throw parties, whether it be galas, fundraisers, or even social events. Dining in the Hamptons isn't just about the food. It's about the scene, the garden parties, the stylish crowds of people, and long summer nights under the stars. It's a place where exclusivity meets serenity, and meals become events in themselves. Now, who was cooking these meals? Well, I can tell you that. It could be Chef Andrew Molen, who is my featured guest on the show tonight because he is one of the most notable private chefs amongst A-listers. Not just in the Hamptons either. He's all over the country, in every high-end market, wining and dining wealthy people. Hiring a private chef in the Hamptons isn't just about the convenience factor, though. It's like the standard, the pinnacle of a luxury experience and excellence. It's part of the exclusive lifestyle. I mean, who wouldn't want dining tailored to their taste, location, or mood? Bespoke culinary services provide an elevated, discreet, and highly personalized dining experience. Private chefs can offer personalized menus. They can go full service for you and do all the grocery shopping and pantry stocking. Some do styling and presentation. They can also pair up with a sommelier or private bartender and offer a mixology experience. But back to renowned chef Andrew Molen. The reason why he's so special is because he was born into a family that has rich history in the New York dining scene. So it's in his blood to be an industry guy. His family's restaurant, Samalita's, was the beginning of his culinary career. But he also held roles at prestigious establishments all over New York City, like Chez Josephine and restaurants in the Plaza Hotel, Michelangelo Hotel, Jew Maria Essex House, and the London Hotel. And I'm not sure if it's because he's handsome and has a killer smile or what, but the press and media are very favorable to Chef Andrew Molen. And you can often find him on TV and in Page Six or in a magazine article. He's been featured on the hit Bravo network show Summer House as the chef multiple times. In addition to private chef services, he does catering and events and offers restaurant consulting. He's owned a ton of restaurants throughout his career. Okay, Chef Andrew Molen, welcome to Culinary Confidential.
Hi, how are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you for
me.
coming in tonight. I know how busy you are. You're a man about town.
I can find a few minutes for you, don't worry.
Well, I'll need you for the whole hour if you don't mind.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Okay, as I mentioned, you're like the private chef to the 1%, basically. That's pretty cool.
I have to say, I'm pretty lucky with that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of wonderful people in my life who've connected me and helped me along the way, and I've met a lot of great people.
It's all about the connections.
Listen, a full belly is a full life, and people are happy. There you go.
Well, they say in New York specifically, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and you know the right people.
Yeah, I've been very lucky about having been born into this industry and growing up with everyone I did. So I'm going to knock on wood and say thank you very much.
So what drew you to the private chefing over, the traditional kind of background that you grew up in, which was working in a proper restaurant?
Working 20 hours a day was kind of, I think I did my
worst.
time. And
Yeah.
I think it's now, I at least have a flexible schedule. I can have fun and still travel and work on real estate properties that I have and spend time with family. And eat at different places and try new things.
All right, so where are you eating in New York? Where do you like to go?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, a lot of places in New York are not the same as what it used to be.
Tell me,
as everyone
preach.
knows. But I still like a couple of the old school places. Like I still go to Campiola up on the
Old
Upper
school
East
guy.
Side. I love it. It's
Yeah.
still characters welcome. It's a walk of all worlds and
And you
still has
walk
the
in,
life.
they're like, in Goodfellas, they put the table right there. They're like,
it's like
Andrew's here.
Oh, I wish I had it like that, but kind of.
What about, there's this place on the Upper East, because you grew up on the Upper East,
I
right?
did, yes.
So, oh gosh, what's his restaurant?
If you ever want to come visit me
Elios.
up there, I have plenty of tissues to stop the nosebleed, okay?
I do make fun of my friend who lives up there on like 82nd and like East End. I'm like, I'm in Rhode Island up here.
Just remember, we don't have congestion pricing.
That's
so we're fun
true.
up there. So we're becoming hot and hip and fun again.
And the Upper East is having a renaissance right now. All these cool restaurants. You have Chez Fifi, Cafe Commerce. I mean, it is the place to be up there.
And there's a lot of great little speakeasies popping up and little fun places. So, and there's some
Yeah.
great old dive bars that have been there 100 years that are still fun. I wouldn't say 100 years, but close to it.
Like what? I don't know any dive
Oh,
bars.
I love this one down on York Avenue called Bailey's. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, you don't strike me as a dive bar kind of guy, though.
Why not? I like
I
to
don't know,
hide
I-
out in different places. I didn't forget
Picture
where I
you,
came
like,
from.
Casa Cipriani, Zero Bond.
You know what? It's nice just to get out and have fun and be a part of old New York.
I love that because it's a dying thing. We were
really
just
is,
talking about that off air. New York is not the same in the culinary scene that it used to be, which is kind of sad.
It used to be a maitre d' driven industry.
Yes.
Now it's became a chef driven industry. Then it became a manager on the floor industry where they're always on their phone. You have
Yeah.
a problem, you never see them. You just get a comp dessert.
That's right.
And you see the person standing in a corner on their phone. I think the phone is taken away from the entire experience of life. Of
It's
eating.
ruining everything.
Yeah, listen, your phone eats before you do. That photo has to be
That's true.
taken, and
That's true.
if it's not right, it's. I think the whole purpose of eating out now is what can I put on the gram
Completely.
or on TikTok.
And what about like just going up to the door guy and greasing his palm? Like that kind of thing is.
That gets people fired. You got to take care of them on the way out.
But that was the New York thing. You do it on the way in and on the way out.
That's true. Yes, but I think now it's pretty much under the microscope because there's cameras. People get caught and they get sent home.
You know, it's like, you ever see My Blue Heaven?
Oh yes,
It's Steve Martin. He's like, it's not tipping, I believe in. It's over tipping.
yeah.
That's
especially-
me.
That was one of the best movies, especially the frozen food section.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, God. All right, we're going all over the place now. Okay.
right, stay focused.
Let's
Stay
stay focused
focused.
here.
Stick to
So
the
we're
script.
talking about private chefing. How are you getting these exclusive clients? It's all word of mouth?
Again, I grew up with a lot of wonderful people and of all walks of life and different countries, different cities, different restaurants, just keeping in touch. I think social media plays a huge role in it.
Yeah.
Just remembering people's birthdays, just keeping in touch, weddings, so forth.
You're like planting seeds, right? And just
Yeah,
like
it's-
watching them grow.
Listen, it's everyone takes care of each other.
That's
and
right.
I've been very fortunate. I have a lot of great friends growing up that have really helped
Yeah.
me succeed and
So-
excel, I should say.
That's correct. Who was your first private client? Like, what was that first dinner that you did?
You know, I worked with a few very talented chefs over the years who are very credible and well known.
Like who?
And like Todd English.
I
and
love the names.
Todd English used to take me to do some events with him and so forth. And I saw there was a real need for it and more and more and more. And I just felt that by being able to actually cook for other people and have fun outside of a restaurant, I could do it for 4 or 5 hours and have a better life than to sit in a restaurant and
Right.
work 7 days a week, being there from 10 in the morning
Ain't it the
to
truth?
2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then sitting in a car going home or on a subway or sitting in a
Just
taxi.
doing it over and over.
Correct.
On repeat.
It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
You just see the same people, same thing over and over
I
and
know.
over. So
I
it gets to
know.
a point that you say, how do you have quality of life in this industry? And I found it.
That's the best question, you know, because even for like someone like myself, like I have 2 small children, I can't work in restaurants anymore, even though I love restaurants, because I'm like, you'll miss everything. The quality of life is terrible. And is there ever going to be a way to make it better?
You can do what my mother did.
What?
Just take me to work and have my school bus pick me up and drop me off there. I think that you'd
would
probably
love
be
that.
You'd probably be on the cover of the New York Post with a sign in front of you.
Hey,
like a
there's no
mugshot.
such thing as bad publicity, right?
Right? Most parents take their kids home from the hospital. My mother took me straight to her bar and lounge. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny, Ryan?
That's certainly something else. I've never really heard about the a school bus picking you up at the restaurant, though. That's first for me.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to move back to the city for that
well,
to
that's
happen,
called
though.
the 80s in New York. Nobody
Yeah,
was watching.
there was like no rules.
Yeah, maybe it's a thing on Long Island for all I know.
The wild, wild west of New York. Or, sorry, I need to say wild, wild east because I was on the Upper East Side.
Where on the Upper East did you grow up?
Actually, right in Yorkville, which was old Germantown, which was a great neighborhood, a lot of fun.
That's right, because we talked about this off air. You grew up with John Seymour from Sweet Chick, who I have a long history with. He grew up in the Upper East, and he told me some crazy stories about growing up there.
I'll let him stay to those stories.
I don't even know if we can talk about them on air.
No, I'm good.
But I'm a big John Seymour
and we're
going
to move on.
Yeah.
I love John. He's a great guy.
He's a good one. We'll have to do a show with him, I'm sure, at some point about chicken and
that'd be
waffles
fun.
and Nas and his whole explosion. That was great.
Unbelievable.
So do you think it was difficult for you to transition out of the daily restaurant work into the private dining?
No, because I was still doing both of them. I had restaurants, but I've now started moving myself completely to private and events and catering and so forth. But I'm not ruling out being in the restaurant proper again. It's just I feel that the industry has shifted, and I'm trying to see where it's going to readjust.
Maybe you're the readjustment.
Let someone else test the waters first.
I like that. All right, walk us through a typical day as a private chef during like peak season, which I would assume might be now, right? Like if you're in the Hamptons a lot, it's the summertime.
Unfortunately, it's always peak season.
Yeah, because you travel around a lot.
Correct. And I'm based in many cities that I have a nice network in different places. So I get said I have to go to L.A., I have people there. I need to go to Boston, Miami, Palm Beach, New York City.
Life sounds terrible.
I know. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Wait, but how do you travel? You like have your like knife kit you bring with you, like
Someone
on the
asked
plane?
me where I lived the other day. I said C3D on Delta. Wherever I land, I have a pillow and a kitchen I call home.
I asked you where you lived the other day. You said, "What are you, the IRS?"
The jury's still not out on that one.
Yeah. No, but I'm sure you have your favorite knives, right? Because knives are very important to chef. Can you bring them in your suitcase if you're going all these?
I really don't. I actually have kits in each city.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I know I'm spoiled.
You are spoiled. All right, let's talk about logistics and planning a little bit. So are you handling everything from like the shopping, the prep work, the plating, the cleanup? Do you bring a team? Like, how does this work?
Well, I cook, clean, and cuddle. I cook for people.
Clean, and cuddle.
I clean up after them, and I cuddle everyone's personality. Yes, I do it all.
Wow, one-stop shopping
I think
with
it's
Chef
really
Andrew
important.
Molen.
Absolutely. I think it's really important to be able to source your products, pick what you're doing, set everything up. I'm involved from A to Z.
I love that. What are some challenges you have cooking on location or in private homes?
Really, there's not really much of a challenge. As long as I get a photo of what the kitchen looks like, I have an understanding.
Is that a request you make?
I do. I do want to see what equipment they have so I know how to maneuver. And if I need to bring everything, I've actually purchased a lot of stuff to be able to maneuver around obstacles. So once in a while, no one's perfect. Some things do happen, but an oven's not working or a burner's out, but we always find a way to make it
But that's
work.
the industry, right? You kind of have to think on the fly sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
It's not always ideal in restaurants and even private chefing.
I think that's called life.
That's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
right.
never know.
You never know. Right, so when you are doing these events, like what's the scale? Is it larger events? Or if I'm saying, I want Andrew Molen to come over and cook me dinner, are you just coming? Are you bringing a sous chef? Are you bringing...
It depends on the situation. I have a wonderful team that works and travels and does everything with me. But it could be anywhere from 2 people to 400 people.
Wow.
It all depends on what the situation asks for. Or I should say the dinner asks for.
But it could be a brunch, right? Or
It could be
lunch.
a brunch,
it could be
a
anything.
lunch. It could be breakfast. It could be anything, yes.
So you were
100%.
down at the Masters?
I was at the
right? What were you
Masters.
doing down there?
I was cooking.
For who?
I can't say.
I knew it. He wasn't going to tell me.
I'm sworn to secrecy.
I saw you in the green jacket.
Oh, yeah. I've tried not to get any grill marks on the jacket or any grease spots. That would not have been
Funny.
good.
Do you know Jimmy Pumerall?
I do not.
Oh, because
Maybe by face. but-
he's like a Miami guy. Worked for Jose Andres forever, but he was also just at the Masters. And I don't know. I just thought he might have been at that.
Honestly, there's so many people and so much fun going on. So many houses, so much.
What did you cook for that?
So a lot of people requested different menus. I did an Italian night. I did a Japanese night. I did an American night. But also, I had to
Japanese
do
night.
Scotty's menu, which was he had his menu that he had set, and so it was the players' dinner menu.
What was on it?
So you had a bone-in cowboy ribeye.
Nice.
You had a nice red fish, which we put like sweet potatoes and some lemon garlic potatoes. the sliders that
Oh my
he really
gosh,
likes with his
sounds
special
amazing.
sauce and his little touch of the French fries inside the burger.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was topped with it, then the bun put on top of the fries. So it was a really great little menu.
That sounds it. All right, what's something?
I just made myself hungry.
I know.
Is
I'm
it
like, I'm
lunchtime yet?
starving now. Jeez Louise.
I'll be back in 30. I'm going to go get lunch.
Perfect. Or we're going to get you ingredients. You're going to make us lunch. How about that?
I'm not cheap. I'll send the bill.
What's something about being a private chef that people wouldn't expect?
You know, it's a lot of work. Everyone doesn't understand the amount of prep that goes into it.
Yeah.
People think you just snap your fingers and the dinner's ready. It takes hours of shopping, prepping, preparing, sourcing. It's not just a 1-2 thing. There really are a lot of moving parts.
I mean, it sounds very stressful to me because I know if I go to like my parents' house and I want to cook something, I'm like, where's the spoons? Where's the, like, it's uncomfortable. You're not in your own setting and you're doing this like different cities, different countries, like you're all over the place.
I promise I do not crack under pressure, okay?
I love that. That's probably the key to your success.
Absolutely. You know, you never know. Curveballs come at you,
Yeah.
fastballs come at you, slow balls, knuckleballs. It's like another day in the park.
That's right. So do you ever deal with unusual or extreme requests?
Oh, I get some interesting
Like what?
dietary restrictions
Oh,
or
okay.
health or clean eating, healthy
Yeah.
eating. As my father always said, if it tastes good, spit it out. It's definitely not good for you, but we can make something taste good as well.
So when I think about private chefing, maybe along the lines of like the popular Below Deck series, right, where they have like a preference sheet and they're on a chartered yacht, are you kind of giving people that when they book you? Like, are they telling you what they want you to cook? Or are you just like, tell me what you don't like and I'll cook around that?
So what I usually say is take a look at my Instagram and and I give a disclosure. If you bite your phone and break a tooth, it's not my fault.
Okay.
But I like to see what direction people want to go in. So I like to have a little bit of a base and then I'll make suggestions. But a lot of times people have what they have set in their mind. But it's nice to tweak, and it's a back and forth. It's a planning, it's a team effort.
Yeah,
and
team
it's fun.
effort.
Yeah.
So what about the different markets? We know you're in the Hamptons. We know you're in Palm Beach. You're in every notable high-end market in the country. How do they differ? Like with the requests you get or the people that you're cooking for?
It really is not too different. It's pretty much the same. It's
Yeah.
as long as you know where you're sourcing your products and what you have on your menu set and so forth. And if you know the kitchen you're cooking in is where it's going to be.
That's right.
So if you don't know your surroundings and you don't know what supermarkets are where or what stores are here, you will have a difficult time. But if you do know where it is, you'll be fine.
So have you had a chance when you were cooking somewhere where you didn't have things provisioned and set up ahead of time and it was like a stressful situation getting the meal ready?
Not really.
Because you have a team.
I have a team, but also most supermarkets these days have
Yeah,
everything
they're
across
pretty
the
full
country.
service,
Yes.
right?
No matter if you're in the middle of nowhere or you're in
I would
high-end
argue
area.
that Oklahoma is probably lacking in. some things.
I wouldn't put it past them. I'm going to tell you. A
Really?
lot of these supermarkets are very, very good at keeping up with the times.
What's your favorite supermarket?
That's hard. It's,
Irwan? Are you an Irwan guy?
One I really like, I spend a lot of time into, especially in the Hamptons, Citarella.
Yeah.
But I'll also go to Stop and Shop. It depends on what products are where. But I think Citarella has a good. They're a little costly.
Yeah.
But,
You
but I'm
think?
gonna tell you that the products are excellent, and you can always, and it's well stocked, so you're able to find what you need.
That's great. All right, Andrew, I think this is a good time to go to our first commercial break. So stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back. I'm joined tonight by A-list private chef Andrew Molen. The conversation so far has been very Hamptons heavy as we're in the midst of the full swing of the summer season. Now, I want to talk a little bit more in depth about your early years. Like, who is Andrew Molen? Born and raised on the Upper East Side, right?
Well, it's been a very good adventure. I've been very fortunate to have grown up in New York.
Yeah.
And I think it was great to have my parents have me see the world. They had me traveling all over the place. I got to see different cultures, understand different areas, and I think that's what kind of bred me into who I am. But also being in the culinary world, front of house, back of house, my mother having restaurants, nightclubs, and so forth.
Nightclubs.
Yeah, she had a famous nightclub called Tattoo. And yeah, it's a really well-known supper club.
I love a supper club.
Yeah, I wish they would come back. Those are so much fun.
I feel like I'm giving you great ideas tonight to kind of execute like your next venture.
I think I'm going to stick to private chefing.
You're going to stick to private chefing because you're pretty good at that.
I'm enjoying my life right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she had these I had all these opportunities through her to learn and meeting wonderful chefs, great restaurateurs. Just watching, like, I had a wonderful mentor in my life who my mother dated for a while, Romeo de Gobi, who was part of Le Cirque. He had Limoncello, La Patole. So he was very influential in what to do and what not to do.
So you are pretty well connected.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
Listen, in this industry, it's New York's a very small industry.
Yeah.
And now if you look into the world, it's become even smaller because of social media and TV and so forth. So I think by checking off all the boxes of working in different high-end establishments, mid-establishments, fast casual establishments, I was able to round myself correctly. And everyone always says, oh, most of your career was front of house, but I was very heavily involved in the back of house of operations, and I've always loved cooking. My mother and I would cook together. My grandfather would make stuff when I was younger. I'd watch my grandmother cook all the time, holidays, and so I was really exposed to a lot of food.
You know,
I should be 400 pounds, but I'm not.
Meeting you for the first time tonight, I know we spoke on the phone off air like a couple weeks ago, but you give front of the house vibes, which a lot of chefs don't give that. Chefs are curious people who are a little bit quirky and sometimes don't really know the social side of the industry because they're typically behind closed doors all the time. They're on the line, they're cooking, and they don't get access to the guests so much. But you started in the front of the house. You decided to go back of the house. But I think, honestly, that's part of your success because you are so good at talking to people and engaging. I mean, you're the full package.
I call him my stepfather. My mother and him were partners in a couple restaurants and stuff, but I call him my stepfather because he was like a father figure in teaching me, Romeo de Gobi. I asked him one day, how do you know when you get somebody from Italy or France coming to work in the restaurants, how do you know if they're going to be in the front or in the back?
Right.
And he goes, I asked him to smile. If they have teeth, they're in the front of the house. If they don't have teeth, they're in the kitchen.
I love that. Sometimes that's all you need, right? It's a simple philosophy. So when you grew up in New York, do you think that gave you a competitive advantage in the industry?
I think it did. And because I think I actually know, I grew up in a very maitre d' front of house style operation. Most of the time, people didn't know who the chef was in the kitchen, but they knew the maitre d'.
Correct.
And that could be the owner or the maitre d'.
Yep.
And I think it was more of the experience is what people kept coming back for. But if you add food and you add the front of house experience, it's a well-rounded machine. But I think the industry shifted to more of being a culinary opposed to a front of house. So again, it lost touch and feel of the front.
Yeah.
And if that could all come back together, I think it would be a great experience.
It'd be a home run.
Correct. And so that's kind of what I try to do when I'm doing events is I want to have the food be amazing, but I also want to have the fun personality in the front as well. So it's well-rounded. So that's kind of like the private experience that we're giving when we cook.
I know. What do you do when you can't afford Chef Andrew Molen to cook your dinner?
Well, there's a lot of great chefs out there, and
Is there anyone you want to highlight?
I work with everyone's different
Ranges
budgets and so forth.
Oh,
Yeah, it
that's
depends
good.
on what the season is, what I have going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get a cancellation and I'll fill somebody in, and
That's great.
Yeah.
Flexibility.
Correct.
We need more of that in the world.
It's not always about the price tag, but you do need to pay bills at the end.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. All right. I want to talk about, you were on Summer House. Everyone knows Summer House, the popular show on the network Bravo. You are the chef on Summer House. People can tune in and see you on that. How did you get hooked up with that?
You know, it's a great story. I was helping consult at a restaurant in the Hamptons, and
Which one?
It was Capri, which was Naya, and a couple summers ago, and I was introduced to Carl and Lindsay.
When they were together.
Correct. And I was actually in the kitchen when they were breaking up.
Oh my gosh.
That's another time. But Carl was very nice and reached out to me and asked me if I would come and do something last season, and I came on and did a nice dinner for all of them.
Yeah.
And then this season, were kind enough to. I
invite you back.
Yeah. So I've had like Lindsay bring me on to do her revealing. Gabby brought me on, and Carl and all of them. So
That's
it's great. And you know, I have to say that whole
Wait,
team,
who got you in the breakup, Carl or Lindsay?
Carl. No, I'm joking. They both did. I had to cook for both. So listen, I don't pick sides in relationships. I think that's just gluttony.
Personal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like lending someone money. If you say no, you lose them as a friend. You say yes, you lose them as a friend. You hope they pay you back.
Exactly. Oh, that's
Never
so
take
true.
sides. Be neutral.
So-
But a lot of great came out of that show. And
Absolutely.
And a lot of people ask me the number one question, is it scripted? Absolutely not. It's a lot of fun personalities in one room.
So it's not scripted.
No.
None of the fights or the drama, nothing.
Not that I see.
That's
no.
great. Do you have to sign NDAs a lot when you're cooking for these high-end
A
clients?
lot of times, yes. Hence why I'll tell you off the record, or I don't say.
Yeah, of course. Do you like the spotlight?
You know, it doesn't bother me. I think growing up in New York nightlife and running some really fun establishments, I
Yeah.
think the show is always on. The camera is always
That's
on.
right.
And I worked for a really wonderful man who taught me a lot. His name was Jean-Claude Baker, who owned a famous restaurant called Chez Josephine.
Yep.
And I will never forget the first time I was standing at the door with him. He goes, "I'm going to teach you how to be a boss." And I said, "I think I am a boss." He goes, "You're not a boss until you learn from me." So someone walks in, and he asked, "Do you have a reservation?" Because he was French.
Yeah.
And they went, "No." He looked them up and down. He goes, "Do you have money?" They said, "Yes." He's like, "Come on in."
Oh my gosh.
But it was really it was like walking into 1930s Paris.
Right.
It was a tribute restaurant to his mother, Josephine Baker, that he called Mama. And it was the velvet walls, the piano. It still exists, and I highly recommend
Yeah,
going to it.
42nd Street.
Unfortunately, he's not around anymore, but when we called him a legend when he was living, he goes, "I am not dead yet. Now we can call him a legend."
Oh my gosh. My friend Lee Felty, who is out in the Hamptons, he has Almond in Bridgehampton. His partner Eric Lamanitas does. But Lee and I worked together at Tavern on the Green when we were children. Like, I was 19 years old. And he had worked at Chez Josephine prior to that. And he would tell me lots of stories. And he lived upstairs from Chez Josephine.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Theater Row, it was very interesting. A lot happens on that block, but
Yeah.
it was magical. You know, you had Housewives filmed there. You had every Broadway opening or closing.
Yep.
You know, fun fact: Michael Imperioli used to be a waiter there. Harry Connick Jr.
I
played
didn't know
there.
that.
Uh-huh.
Those are fun facts.
Yes, and I've seen everyone come into that place. Emma Stone was sitting at the bar one time waiting to go to a play,
I've never been there.
and you have to go.
I've never gone.
But it was really a treat. A lot. Like,
Is it still good, though? Even
You
though he's
know,
not there anymore?
I think they've done a good job keeping his legacy alive.
That's good.
And,
Who took it over?
Manuel, and really a great person. I had the pleasure of working with him. He was one of the managers when I was running the place, and he took over. But it was really a great experience. But like Liza Minnelli coming in,
Yeah.
and you name the people, they came through there. It was great.
These are the old New York people and situations that we were just talking about before.
I literally
It
just
doesn't
posted a
happen
photo
anymore.
the other day of as a kid. I was one of the only kids allowed in Elaine's, and there's a picture of Elaine and I on my birthday when I was 25. But I remember her saying that she didn't care who came in there to drink. You had to eat no matter what. Food was terrible. She was alive, she'd kill me for that one, but but it was true. But that was a room that you had every walk of life in.
Yeah.
And whether you didn't talk to each other outside of that place, inside everyone was a family.
Yep.
And there's not many places like that anymore. Chez Josephine was like that too. But I think one of the old, and I'm going to go back to it, Campiola is still that same way.
Absolutely.
And you still get that feel of old New York when you walk in.
Yeah. Do you know Palm 2 on 2nd Avenue?
Yes.
Not the original, the one that was
correct.
across the street. I worked at Palm 2 for a little while. I was in Tribeca, and then Hurricane Sandy happened, so the whole restaurant got flooded. I went up to Palm 2, and it was very much that. Like, you would walk in, Liza Minnelli would be smoking a cigarette in a time where you're not allowed to smoke in restaurants, by the way. She'd be smoking a cigarette in the back left corner, just going about her business, and everyone would come in. It was like very intimate and just like moody in there, and it just doesn't exist anymore. Everything is velvet banquettes and, fancy.
Unfortunately, I think the party has gone.
We got to bring it back. Come on. If there's anyone that could bring it back, it's you.
It's going to happen. There's different times of people's lives and different levels of life. And I think we're in a level right now that everyone's hungry for it again. But I don't think anyone's willing to roll the dice yet.
I'll roll the dice.
Yeah, but you know what? It comes into play. It's like everyone always asks me, when you do a restaurant, what is the number one thing that you should do in doing a restaurant? Buy the real estate. If you own the real estate, you're golden.
Yeah.
If you're investing in fixing up someone else's property, you're losing. You should be fixing up your property.
That's true.
And that's the number one key to success in the restaurant industry, because
you heard it here first.
Margins are so low in profitability, and food
now
costs,
more than ever.
Labor, taxes, insurance is through the roof. You used to be lucky if you had 18 to 15% profitability. Now you're lucky if you have 10%, if that.
Right.
So it's a different world, and I think social media has played a big toll on it. I think all the different platforms and codes and so forth. It's a very interesting changed industry. Yes.
All right, let's go.
You got to navigate like a sailboat.
You got to navigate like a sailboat. That's a good one.
You got to go with the winds.
There's a lot of Andrew Molen isms on the show tonight. I like that.
I'll write a book.
Let's go to our last commercial break. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Okay, welcome back. I'm joined tonight by Chef Andrew Molen, who is A-list private chef to the exclusive crowds around the country, whether you're in the Hamptons, Palm Beach, Miami, wherever. But he also has some cool ventures going on up in Ludlow, Vermont, right? Andrew, welcome back to the show.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy you're here, too.
This has been fun.
It goes by quick, right?
I know. We're talking about food. I'm working up an appetite
I know.
right now.
That's great.
But yeah, Ludlow, Vermont. It was an introduction that was a very good introduction. I had a friend introduce me to a gentleman who had purchased some property up there. And I ended up getting a phone call saying, hey, when are you moving up here? And I was like, let me come up and take a look. Go up there. We looked at a lot of properties, and then I didn't hear anything for like a month or two, and I got a phone call. All right, I bought them all. When are we starting? I'm like, excuse me, what?
Like, you didn't even consult me.
So I kind of got thrown a curveball on that one, but it was a good curveball. It's a great community up there, a very resilient community.
Where is Ludlow?
Ludlow is by Okemo Mountain.
Okay.
Which is the great one of the best ski mountains up there.
And you're a skier.
Oh, I got 40 days in last year.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Good for you. See, perks of being a private chef. Make
listen,
your own schedule.
Correct. So I don't want to call myself a ski bum, but I was close to it. But yeah, I was very fortunate to be part of that community, and I still am involved in that community. I bought an old inn that I still operate as an Airbnb.
Wow.
And I'm surprised it's become a year-round town, even with everything that's happened with the flooding and
Yeah, we're going to talk about the flooding too. You were impacted by it, but you helped a lot of people.
I did my best. I think everyone helped each other, and that's when you realize the community still exists. It wasn't just me; it was everyone came about. And
what did you do? Tell me what you did to kind of help out.
I literally was just fortunate enough to be a part of a community and help them try to get through it. And I feel that I am still part of that community. And as I said, I got 40 days on the mountain last year, so I spent a lot of time up there. And my mother's actually up there right now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I had to have her clean a couple rooms. So she's the maid in filling right now.
Oh, my gosh. How do you keep it all straight? You have all these things going on.
Smartphones for dumb people.
There you go. See, the phones aren't all bad. They're bad in restaurants, but they do help keep us organized.
Listen, they are a major tool, and I think without this, it would not be possible.
Right, of course. Now, did you own a bunch of restaurants in Vermont also?
I was partnered in some of them, but I did a lot of cooking and a lot of stuff. But yes, I was partnered in a bunch. We had Sam's Steakhouse, we had Mr. Darcy's, we had Alta Tuscan Grill, we had Calcutta's.
Pretty
and
diverse.
Off the Rails. It was a walk of all life in food and beverage.
What would you say the dining scene is like up there?
Oh, it's great. You have to check it out. There's some wonderful restaurants up there. It's really a great community.
I guess I'll have to take a road trip. I don't know.
I may or may not have a room for you.
Oh, that's great.
Send you the link on
I
Airbnb.
love that. And I need the restaurant recs also written down.
Absolutely. That comes in the whole welcome letter. I have it already mapped out for everyone.
That's great. Have you ever cooked for guests that are staying at your B&B?
No, because it's an old inn, so it's an individual studio apartment with its own bathroom. So there's not really a kitchen facility.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Do you see yourself opening up more restaurants, expanding into private chef services internationally? What are we doing here?
Listen, time will tell. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I'm really enjoying where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But if an opportunity was to knock, I would probably open the door.
I mean, I know you would, because you're a go-getter. Even you coming on the show tonight, it was we connected, we got a call, bing, bang, boom, it happened. You have a drive
with the ring,
and hustle.
and now I'm here.
Exactly. That's right. But I think, honestly, this is what scares me for this generation of children. They don't have that drive, that oomph, that go-get-it mentality that you have. But I think it's because you grew up in New York. It's just in you, and you're always going to be like this.
I think it was mostly, I have to say I have great parents, but I fended for myself. And I think it was realizing in life that, you're not going to have them forever. You got to deal with your own. And I think a lot of these children these days think their parents are going to live forever and take care of them. They don't realize that it's a lonely world out there. And if you don't brace for it, you're going to have a rude awakening.
Yeah. It's so true.
But to a happier note, listen, I think every kid should learn to cook. It's I learned as a kid, and I think and I think everyone should have that skill.
I went to culinary school. And right out of high school, I didn't go to college. I was I know I want to work in restaurants. So I went to the Art Institute in New York. And I remember my friend's father, he was a finance guy. And he said to me, he goes, cooking is good because people always have to eat.
Correct.
And I was like, yeah, I guess that's a good way to look at it. It's a good industry to get in.
It's like my father said when I was younger. He goes, listen, it's always he goes, I have a hack license. I've never driven a cab, but in case something hits the fan, I can at least do that.
Yeah, you need a backup plan.
I think everyone should have a backup plan. And unfortunately, I think nowadays the problem is that a lot of people are too proud, and the pride falls into it, that they're like, oh, I don't want to be seen doing this. Well, I do this. Why am I going to do that? I'm afraid people are going to see me. Throw the pride away. And I think if you take a year off and forget about what everyone thinks about you, you can have an empire.
Life Advice by Andrew Molen.
I follow some, but not all.
Hey, whatever. It works. All right. Well, what advice would you give to a chef who wants to break into the private sector?
Just go with it. I think for a lot of people breaking into doing private stuff, keep that regular job you have and figure out the days that you have off and do some private stuff till you build your clientele. To go full throttle in, you're just setting yourself up for debt.
Debt. Yeah. what did you start with? Like, when you talk about debt, like, what did you have to purchase? If you're kind of like a one-man show on the move.
Meaning that you have that stable job of your revenue coming in.
Oh, fine.
That you're able to pay your bills, your cell phone, your rent, your car, your gas, so forth. If you're just going to go into it and you have a savings, you're going to blow through your savings. It's because you're going to have to buy knives. You're going to have to buy chafing dishes. You're going to have the right coolers and so forth.
And there will be an ebb and flow in booking.
Correct. And you don't know what
clients.
You're going to have. Correct. And I think it's very important that you have a plan. It took me many years to get the clientele that I have. It wasn't just overnight. Even though I knew everyone, it was learning what the cost breakdown was, what the price per person, what formulas worked best in pitching and getting the project. So I think it's important to really figure out what your niche is and what direction you want to head with your career.
So how do you figure out pricing?
It depends on food. And food right now, as you know, is through the roof. At least eggs have gone down.
At least.
I think they did that on purpose around Halloween so no one had an egg fight. But
and they jacked it up again around Easter when everyone was dying eggs.
Yeah. But I think it's you have to really feel what the situation is. I'm fortunate enough because I have corporate accounts and I can do wholesale. But having to go to a supermarket and actually purchase everything is quite costly.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, well, we were talking about the Hamptons before. I do just want to have your opinion. Like Round Swamp, right? That high-end market out there with the chicken salad, which is like the viral chicken salad. Is it actually good? Because I've never had it.
Oh, it's delicious. But
like Bethany Frankel says it's like the best.
She's spot on.
Huh.
She's spot on. She's a very brilliant woman. She's definitely a go-getter as well.
Yeah, similar mindset.
Correct.
To you.
She puts her mind on something and it works. But yes, it is very good, and it's a small fortune. But
yeah, how much is it? It's like $35 for a small container.
I think the price goes up, goes down. It's somewhere north of that.
Oh gosh, do you have any favorite local ingredients or even like farms out east that you like to collaborate with when you're out there in the season?
You know, I work with a lot of different vendors and so forth and farms. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's some good ones out there. But again, there's a lot of local markets you can go to and find everything you want.
Is there a unique flavor out east?
You know, I love the pies. Like all the local pies are just unbelievable. I just did a menu today and someone wanted some locally sourced stuff. I said, you have to try the pies. So
from where?
All over. You have all those great little stands on the side of the road. Those pies are excellent.
Oh, I never thought to get. I mean, I don't go to the Hamptons a ton. I probably go out there once a year.
A good friend of mine, Chef Julian Medina, he has El Verano in Southampton. He just opened a little shop next door that's a real farm-style shop that's local produce and locally sourced ingredients and items, and I highly recommend that you go check it out.
Where do you like to eat when you're out east, when you're not cooking?
That's a great question. You know, there's so many.
Because you are out in the scene, okay? Don't dumb it down. I'm on your social media. You got friends all over. You're a social guy. You're in restaurants. Where do you like to go?
I'm invited to a lot of house parties. Like, you know, even like the other day, Ramona Singer invited me over for a great barbecue.
Oh, that was nice of her.
Cooked. You know, there's a lot of great places out there. I love El Verano. That's a Mexican place is fantastic. There's a great old German restaurant that's been re-renovated, and the owner, John's, fantastic. It's called Shippy's. Probably one of the best happy hours around, value for dollar, great food. He's opening a beer garden in the back. That's going to be fun.
That'll be great.
But those probably, I visit Shippy's and El Verano probably the most when I'm in Southampton.
Do you ever go out to Montauk?
I do go out to Montauk. I spend a lot of time out there, and as everyone does. Of course, I visit Surf Lodge and so forth. But eating out in Montauk, I really don't go to many places. I mostly stay within Southampton because my summer is pretty jam-packed.
Concentrated, over there. And
Correct.
It's a little trafficky out there when you want to start moving around to the villages and other towns.
And you know, and as you know, you shouldn't drink and drive.
No, and they are so strict out there.
They're very strict. But the Ubers it's like $150 just to go one way. So I'd rather keep the money in Southampton and visit friends' restaurants over there.
It makes sense. That is encouraged. I'm telling you, the speed limit out there, like all those countries, 25 miles an hour. You go 26 miles an hour, you're getting pulled over, getting a ticket, getting a DUI. Like, they don't mess around.
No, there's one area in East Hampton that it literally says 45, and then it goes down to 20, and it's only for a half a block. So you don't even know.
Oh, my gosh.
And then next thing you know, you're pulled over, and it's back to 35. So it's, they got the little traps. But
oh, good Lord. You know, I worked out in East Hampton for a couple times when I was at the Palm. I worked at the Palm in the Hunting Inn just
That's
to
great,
help.
isn't it?
Dude, that's a crazy scene out there. Did you know Tomas when he was there, who like worked the door? I mean, he was the GM, but he was like the man in East Hampton. People would give him an envelope full of cash at the beginning of the season, which like secured their reservation, and he guarded that reservation book like it was the Bible. No one had access to it but him. He answered every phone call, and it's a reservation book, mind you. It wasn't even on a reservation platform, so everything was penciled in. The end of the season, they hit him again. Thank you for a great season. This guy made a ton of money, and it was a scene out there. And I ran around for the weekends I worked out there. I've never worked so hard in my life.
Oh no, it's full
turn and burn like crazy.
100%. It's all hands on deck. I actually was fortunate enough to run a place years ago. I was the GM of Sunset Beach, and when I ran it, it was a rehab center gone wrong. It was just like anything went. And that was when Andre was fully involved in it, and Andre Balaj. And it was just like a full fun scene. And it's, again, going back to a lot of places, a lot of the industry and food and beverage in the world has changed.
Yeah.
But I have some great memories of the Hamptons.
Well, what's your style when you're operating restaurants?
Listen, I think the best thing to say is this. No one works for me. I don't work for them. We all work together. And I think that's the key to success. I think if you make a room of everyone as a director of operations and everyone has their role and their responsibility, I think you get a lot done. And I think to challenge people and put them in different situations. So say you got really good at ordering beverages or you got really good at ordering food, switch the person. And so that they start learning every aspect
more
of the industry.
well-rounded.
Because I think if you're a little uncomfortable, but at least you know you have stability and guidance, you're going to succeed. But if you get too comfortable in one way, that's when products start to slip.
Okay, so we're nearing the end of the hour here. Anything exciting on the horizon for you? You can talk about? Because
absolutely,
guess some things you probably can't.
Every day in food and beverage is exciting. It's you pick a restaurant, and I always tell people that I work with, like, you work really hard for, let's say you make $10 an hour, which nobody makes anymore, but say you make $10 an hour and you work 12 hours a day, you made $120. You're going to pick a restaurant to take someone you're going to go with somewhere. What restaurant would it be? And you've given 12 hours of your life for an hour and a half. Why would you pick that place? So I think that's the mindset I'm setting into people's minds and working with. And I think with that creation, we're able to bring into a lot of great events. And I'm looking forward to having a lot more fun in cooking at people's houses and so forth.
I don't know if there's room for you to have any more fun. You have a fun time.
Listen, it's not all fun and games. You have life. It's all, every morning I wake up and I know what bills I have because the phone lets me know. Again, smartphone for dumb people. But I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate and have a lot of wonderful people I work with.
That's great. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Tune in next week for a show all about food allergies. Approximately 33 million Americans live with food allergies every day. On the show, I'll be joined by Valerio Arena, who owns several locations of 21 Grains in New York City. 21 Grains is an exclusively gluten-free fast casual restaurant. I'll also be joined by Elizabeth Hamilton Guarino, who's a prominent advocate for food allergy awareness. She lives every day with her own severe food allergies for over 25 years. That's the show. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.